Dr. Reinisch, and
this is Dr. Kwan. Welcome to our webinar.
Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to let us know. I believe also you can raise your hand if you'd like to raise your hand. Or Patty, do we have the microphone open if people have questions that they want to ask?
Yes, so if you want to ask questions, we can turn off our mic. Again, the mic is only set so that one person talks at a time, I believe. So if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. We'll be happy to turn off our mic for you and you can ask a question.
Okay, wonderful. So let's move on. Here's just a quick agenda about what we're going to be talking about, what the MPH degree is, getting an MPH here at CSUN, some admissions and application information, and then FAQs. Just so you can put some faces to the voices. Again, this is Dr. Reinisch and
Dr. Kwan, the graduate co-coordinator of the MPH program.
Okay, if you're not familiar with public health, then here's a little overview about what public health is regarding the science and art of protecting and improving health through education, promotion, prevention, and research. Key to our program is definitely education, and some of the basic competencies that public health professionals are expected to know, especially those who have an MPH, are listed here. All of these competencies you will learn in our MPH program, and if you are already familiar with public health, then this is not new news to you, but it's definitely good to see what the expectations are and what type of skills will be gained in an MPH program. Okay, so the MPH degree is definitely the most common graduate degree in the public health field. There are 5 core areas of study within an MPH. Many of you may be familiar with these or may have taken courses in these already, perhaps in undergrad or maybe through a major with some additional coursework. They include biostatistics, epidemiology, environmental health sciences, health administration, and also social and behavioral science. People with an MPH degree generally go on to fill a number of different job settings and job titles. You can see here this is just a small list, definitely not exhaustive. The government setting, federal, state, or local. The Los Angeles County Department of Public Health is certainly one of our largest partners. Many of our graduates go on to work there. The Center for Disease Control is a federal government agency that many students go on to work with. Lots of nonprofit organizations. It's very popular here in Los Angeles. Private companies, a number of our students go on to be private contractors to work as consultants at many companies. Healthcare settings, Kaiser Permanente is one of our biggest internship sites, and many of our students actually go on to get hired by Kaiser Permanente. Schools, colleges, universities, and of course international organizations as well. Here on the right you see a bunch of job titles. These are just an example of many different career paths that our graduates have gone on to. You can see here health educator, health worker, health services manager, health education specialist, epidemiologist, field investigator, research analyst, but there's many, many, many more that a public health professional with a master's in public health can work. Here at CSUN, we're proud to say that we are one of the first accredited MPH programs in Los Angeles. We have 2 different programs here that offer a master's in public health. We have our online program, which is actually offered through CSUN's SENG College. This means that if a student is interested in the online program, they actually must apply through SENG in a separate application. And you can go to their website and apply directly through them. But the same faculty teach the courses. It's offered in a cohort model. Now, our traditional MPH program is one that is offered through our department here in Health Sciences at CSUN. It's a face-to-face program. That means that students come to class they sit and have lecture, there's application, there's group work. There are some courses that are considered hybrid. That means that students may engage in face-to-face lecture for 50% of the semester in a class and then maybe do half of the class online. But overwhelmingly, all the classes are face-to-face. And that application obviously is through our health sciences department, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let me just stop real quick and ask if anybody has questions about anything. Dr. Kwan is operating the message board, so if you have questions, she is on that and responding very readily. So we encourage you to type any questions you may have, or if you raise your hand and you want to ask a question, you can do that as well. We're very open to questions, and we certainly want to be as informative as possible. So I'll take a moment here and just stop for a second. So if you want to ask or type, you can do that. Okay, so here's some great questions. One says, what can I do with an MPH that I can't do with a Bachelor's of Science in Health Education? This is a great question. Students that graduate with a Master's in Public Health have a higher order level of skills in public health, and these skills demonstrate to employers the ability to be able to plan, implement, and evaluate programs within a community. By design, a graduate program has more rigorous courses, higher expectations. Certainly much more is involved in the degree, more so than just a bachelor's. That's not to say that somebody with a bachelor's degree, perhaps maybe with another 3 or so years of experience, wouldn't have something equivalent maybe to an MPH, but there are other careers that require students to have MPHs, and I think this is more so becoming the case, that a lot more students are continuing on to get an MPH, so the career field in general is looking for those MPH degrees right from the start. So one of the questions is, does the online program at the Sang College provide both concentrations? This is a great question. The online program at Sang only offers an MPH in community health education. At this time, the applied epidemiology option is not offered through the Sang College, only through the department and the face-to-face program. One of the questions asked how the curriculum was different. I'm assuming this question is how the curriculum is different in the online versus the face-to-face. So I'll answer that with that. Is, oh, okay. So. Oh, how's the curriculum different between the two concentrations? Is that what we're asking?
Community health ed. So I think, and then are you asking how is the health community health education and or applied epi different from the health education focus in general? I think we take a more community-based approach, and of course you could do health education in many different settings, but I think in our program we really give students an applied tool to go out in the community and involve them in different processes. So you'll be working, instead of individuals, we'll be working on large communities as your focus or your target audience.
So another question asked, I've noticed that some degrees would like 2 to 3 years of work in the related field to be considered. Is that the same for the MPH here at CSUN? It certainly is not a bad thing if an applicant has years of experience in the field, but that's not necessary. I would say that students who have perhaps an internship that they've completed, or they've had extensive volunteer experience, or can demonstrate a passion for some interest in public health, that is definitely what we would like to see. And work experience is always a helpful thing to provide and demonstrate to us that somebody has the experience to bring to our program to be successful in completing the degree. Another question, does the online program take the same time as the in-class?
Yeah, I think the online program, it is a cohort model, meaning that you'll be admitted into a cohort the fall semester, of course, and everybody takes the same set of classes. I believe it's set at 2 classes each. We don't have it as a semester. I think it's just on what we would call terms, and each term is anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. You'll be following that model, so everybody takes the same set of classes versus on the in-class, you kind of just go on your own pace. Of course, there is a core set of classes you should take, but it changes according to people's work schedule. Because it's online, we assume that your work schedule wouldn't be in the way, per se, as you would in class. So I believe depending on how you schedule it, it can take the same time, or in most cases, I think the in-class will probably take longer. And that's because in the past, our students have been working part-time and they take about 2 classes a semester.
These are all really wonderful questions about the online program through CSUN, and we encourage you to go to their website, which is not the same as ours. It's a whole separate website through CSUN, and they have all of the information there regarding what the courses are, what the curriculum is set up as, also the amount of time that it takes to complete the program. I think all of these questions, Dr. Kwan and I can do the best we can to answer them here, but I really do encourage you to check the website from CSUN, and there is an individual there if there's additional questions that you can communicate directly with them. So we don't, Dr. Kwan and I, in our program here through the Health Sciences Department, we don't even manage the applications for the CSUN program. The information here that we wanted to give you was to demonstrate that there is a separate application and a separate program there. So if there are specific questions about the online program, we do encourage you to contact CSUN directly and inquire there as well.
You guys, I took made a list of your questions. I think we're just going to move on, and then maybe in a little bit we'll answer some more of the questions. But I do have some questions set for those who have already written some questions up here.
We apologize for any difficulty in hearing the speaker. We're trying the best we can. We had a glitch with the microphone earlier, so we're using a laptop microphone. So we're speaking as loudly as we can. We apologize for any inconvenience, so we'll do the best we can. Okay. So let's talk about the course requirements for the program. There's 42 units total to achieve the degree. There are core courses, so every student will end up taking a core course in biostatistics, epidemiology, environmental and occupational health, health behavior, as well as health administration. Now, there's 2 separate concentrations. The community health education concentration has separate courses that focus on community health ed, as well as 9 separate units of electives. There's a culminating experience, which is an internship, and then there's the comprehensive exam or a graduate thesis/project. Now, applied epidemiology takes the same exact core courses. However, their track will involve 12 units of more specific applied epidemiology coursework, a specific epidemiology elective, and then 1 other elective, and also a culminating experience, as well as a comp exam or a graduate project/thesis. Here's a picture of our amazingly talented faculty. We have 14 full-time faculty members, and I would like to point out that we do have an exceptional faculty who is a male, Dr. Chu, who is there in the back row on the left, so yay for our male faculty member. The ratio of students to faculty is 1 to 10. This means that there's 1 faculty for every 10 MPH students. And this actually demonstrates that we are dedicated to providing a high-quality educational experience for our students. We really do want to ensure that our students get a lot of one-on-one time with the faculty. They're able to receive mentorship, advising, and engage in any type of interaction or research that can contribute to the degree, and this is also something that's required by seats, that we have a certain number of faculty to student ratio.
And if any of you have been counting, you're going to see that we actually only have 13 in the picture because one of our faculty members, Dr. Stephanie Benjamin, she was, at the time of the picture, was at a NIH conference. So we have counted correctly, we're just missing one. And as I was speaking about, we do have expertise in different fields. So that's in epidemiology, community health, health disparities, and a lot of different fields. And that's one of the things you're going to get from the program. You're going to be exposed to faculty members with interest in different fields, and hopefully that will give you a very well-rounded graduate degree.
Now let's talk about the admissions and application. Our face-to-face MPH program only accepts applications for fall admission, so we don't admit in the spring. Our application is 100% submitted online. That means that everything, including letters of recommendation, all other statement of purpose, everything else, all goes into an online system. The online application opened already October 12th, I believe, and will remain open until March 4th. So the application is due no later than March 4th of 2016. Now, if we go to the CSUN MPH admission process website, which we can't do right now on the Collaborate session, but if you go to the main MPH website, on the right tab, there's a button that says Admission Process. You can click there, and there's more information on the website. We tried to make it as clear as possible, and we apologize for any confusion there was earlier. We've been updating the website in preparation for this, so everything should be finalized on the website. Please don't send any hard copies of information to our department office. Everything is electronic. Again, if you go to the admission process tab there on the website, you can see some of the details regarding the application. We're going to go into more of that information right now. Okay, here's what you'll need for the application. You'll need one statement of purpose, and if you go to the admission process website, one of the bullet points there has some information and specifics about writing your statement of purpose. It gives you some instructions, and it also provides a couple PDFs based on the concentration you're applying for. It's very important when you submit your application that you identify which concentration of the MPH you are applying for. So a student cannot apply to both concentrations. They must select one, and then based on the concentration, we encourage you to direct your statement of purpose towards that specific concentration. So please see the admission process website, and there's tabs there and links to help you write your statement of purpose. We'll need an official transcript, as well as one official transcript, which will get submitted to the CSUN Office of Admissions and Records. Also, your curriculum vitae resume, and then 3 references. Now, the GRE scores is a topic that a lot of students are confused about, or applicants are confused. If somebody has less than a 3.0 overall GPA, or less than 3.2 GPA in their last 60 units, then the GRE is required to take. Those scores get submitted directly to CSUN's Office of Admissions and Records. And you can see there the code is 4707. So when somebody goes to take the GRE, they put the code in the beginning of the exam, and then the score will get sent directly to CSUN. TOEFL is required for international students who don't have a degree from an accredited U.S. university. Here are the steps for the application. Hold on, somebody just asked a question about if the curriculum vitae is the same as a resume. Yes, that's correct. The CV and a resume are the same. Okay, so maybe we should take some time and answer some of these questions before we move on to the application steps.
Okay, so a question that was asked previously was how many students do you accept for online and on-campus programs? We really do not know how many online students get accepted versus those who apply. As Dr. Rita just said, it does go through the same college, but for the on-campus program, based on the numbers last year, I believe it's about a 50% acceptance rate. However, that also depends on the number of students who apply. Each year we would like to carry a cohort of about 50 students, meaning that if 200 people apply, then our acceptance rate will be at 25%. But because last year it was at 100 individuals and we accepted 50, it has to be at the 50%.
Okay. So one of the questions is, I'll be graduating in summer 2016. How can I submit my official transcript? This is something that's very common. Depending on where the student graduates from, if they obviously are graduating from CSUN, then an official transcript is already in the system. But if they're graduating from some other institution, then it's important that the transcript be submitted to CSUN, I'd say within the last semester. So if they plan to graduate in summer, then they can have their transcripts actually sent in the spring. So that'll demonstrate their almost near completion. And if that student or applicant happens to be admitted to the program, they must provide proof of completion of the bachelor before they can actually begin. So if our program begins in fall and the student hasn't earned their degree, then they actually cannot begin the program and they won't be admitted. So it's important that even if the individual finishes in the summer, that they finish before the start of our MPH program. Another question is, if you apply later, are the chances of getting into the program worse? This is a challenging question to answer. We encourage students to apply sooner rather than later. The sooner the application is completed, the sooner they're likely to know if they were admitted to the program. However, this doesn't necessarily imply that somebody who applies later won't get in because all the space is taken. We do our best to ensure that individuals who aren't able to apply earlier, that there may be opportunity to be admitted to the program as we get closer towards the end of spring, but it is better, I would say, for somebody to apply sooner. So if their application isn't completed, that they can get all that information in time by March 4th. So if somebody waits till the last second to apply and everything isn't admitted, then that will definitely impact their opportunity to be admitted to the program.
I think another question that was asked is, I'm actually jumping back to an earlier question before I jump down again, and that is, it says here that you worked at a low-income community center, and it's that kind of experience. Yes, any type of, these things are things you could probably put into your personal statement to reflect and demonstrate your dedication to the field. So if you have any experience, whether work or volunteer experience, then please, this is the place to put it would be in your personal statement. And again, if you look at our website, we do have hints about how to write it, as Dr. Radish said, so that's where you're going to put it. And in addition to, perhaps, you could include that section on your resume as well. The next question, down the list, I'm just going down the list. Evan asked, can you appeal if you don't get in?
I don't believe there's an appeal process. I know that a student or a prospective student can certainly come and speak with myself or Dr. Kwan. And I imagine if they felt that a decision was made unjustly, that they could certainly communicate with graduate studies or talk to someone at the university. I'm not familiar with that happening before, but I imagine if it really was an issue, we could learn more. We can provide information on that.
I think our admissions process is done very well structured. We actually have 3 faculty members looking at the application. They will score your packet based on a score, I believe, from 1 to 100. And students scoring above a certain score get admitted. So we do have 3 different individuals. And if any time there is still some that's on the fence, I believe we do get a 4th reviewer to come in and make sure that we do give your application a fair process. The next question, Vanessa asked, how early can you apply? The application already opened on October 12th, so you could apply already. If you have everything ready, you could just go on, as it says up here, the steps, create a link or an account via CSU Mentor, and then you can start uploading all the applications.
Okay, so let's now just talk about the application steps, and then we'll return back to some of the questions are about the application, so I think this is a good time to talk about the steps of the application. And Dr. Khan was saying the first step is to go to the CSU Mentor website. And again, all of this information is posted on our website directly. There's actually a document that you can download, a PDF that includes all of these steps. So once you go to CSU Mentor, you create an account, and then make sure you send directly to the CSUN Admissions and Records Office all of your official transcripts, as well as your GRE scores if they're needed, and TOEFL scores if they're needed. The third step is to create an account on the CSUN Health Science Department application, and that's using Apply Web, and we provided a link for you here. Again, if you go to our admissions process website, you can find the link there as well. Once you create the application, you're going to complete and upload the following materials: your statement of purpose, unofficial transcripts. So realize that there's two transcripts here. One officially gets sent to the CSUN Office of Admissions and Records. This is stamped and sealed and unopened and sent directly from the institution you ordered it from. And the unofficial is what you can download and upload to our application directly. Then you're going to provide your resume or your CV, same thing. And finally, you're going to have 3 references. Now, on the application, you put in the email address of your individuals who will provide references, and an email will get sent directly to these individuals that has instructions on how to complete the letter of recommendation. Those instructions include a sheet that has a rating system and a checklist. And then there's also details on actually writing the letter and uploading the letters directly to the application securely and confidentially. When we suggest uploading these documents to the application, keep in mind this is the first time we're providing an online application system. It's in its infancy, meaning that when you go through the application, you actually do it one step at a time. You can't really move to the next step of the application without completing the previous step. In other words, it's helpful to prepare everything in advance. Write your statement of purpose in advance, write your resume, create everything in advance, make sure you have everything all ready to go, because when you go through the system, it's going to ask you to upload it, and you can't move to the next segment until you've uploaded what is required of you. So it's helpful to prepare it all in advance before you submit everything. Okay, now's a good time to now go over some questions.
So we have a question here that says, can I have 2 references for my professors and 1 for my program director? Yes, the answer is yes, you can. Again, you need the 3 best references for yourself. The way we look at it is, if you recently graduated from a university, we would like to see references from your professors. However, we do have some applicants who last attended a university 20 years ago. So in those cases, we don't really expect them to be contacting their professors, but they're going to have more professional recommendations. Another question also asked, are prospective students required to apply through SOFAs.org? And no, not for the CSUN MPH program. You will not need to apply through that organization. So for those of you who don't know, I believe that's where you have the common applications for other schools of public health. And you will not have to do that for our program.
Okay, so the next question is, how big are grades in undergrad a factor in looking at applications, especially if you have a very similar undergrad like health education? So essentially there's 2 separate questions being asked. One of them is, how important is someone's GPA? So obviously if the GPA is less than a 3.0, then the GRE is required. This is a red flag. The university wants to ensure that somebody is capable of completing a graduate degree. So the GPA does play a pretty significant role, but there are other factors that contribute to someone's application, such as their experience, their letters of recommendation, and their personal statement. Now, if an individual has a bachelor's degree that is in something similar to health education, that can be very helpful. I think that our graduate program, students who have an undergrad degree in something similar to health education or health sciences are successful, but that doesn't mean that someone who is coming from English or history or psychology or even theater can't be successful in our program as well. I think it just varies.
The next question from Vanessa says, I attended community college and now I'm at a CSU. So the question is, do you need to get transcripts from there as well? And yes, we need the transcripts from the community college if you did take it there. So the ideal is we want transcripts from all of your prior education post-high school.
Okay. So we've been asking a lot of questions thus far. There are frequently asked questions on our MPH website. You can go to the link, and we have a whole bunch of questions there, but here are a couple of them. What makes CSUN's program unique? We are a community-based professional program, so not only do we have a really diverse student population, but we also have extremely talented and motivated, dedicated staff and faculty with unique backgrounds in all sorts of things, ranging from lactation education to health literacy to HIV and STIs and health policy, women's health, everything you can think of. How long does it take to complete the degree here at CSUN? The program generally can be completed in 5 semesters of full-time study, the last of which includes completing a thesis or a graduate project or doing the comprehensive exam. It is possible for students to complete the program in 2 years. That is challenging, but they have to take 4 classes a semester in addition to a very rigorous internship that can take a year to complete. So keep in mind, full-time is 8 or more units for graduate students, but generally students complete somewhere in about 3 years. But it is different for everybody.
Okay, we have another question that says, if you got into the online program and you want to switch to the regular program or vice versa, can you do that? And the answer is technically yes and no. So yes is we can't stop you from applying to both programs, but you cannot switch. So once you're accepted into the online cohort, you just can't jump out and join our program. Or vice versa, because it is a cohort model, it has to follow in that pattern.
Yeah, the online program is a little bit more rigid in that students don't really have much of an opportunity to take different electives. The electives are set. Everybody takes the same course at the same time throughout the duration of the entire online program. It's extremely rigid and it's cohorted in that way. The face-to-face program is a lot more open-ended in that students can take certain classes at different times and electives at different times, and it's not necessarily as restricted in that way.
Okay. Another question from Allison asked, do you take into account what bachelor's degree or the field we graduated from, for example, one in molecular biology versus one that's more in liberal arts, for example. And we look at your GPA, like we said before, the overall and the last 60 units, and it has that number, and that's what we look at. However, when faculty review your application, they do have your transcript. So they do look through and see what you graduated from, in what field, as well as what schools you attended. So all of that comes in, not as part of a holistic approach to looking at your application.
Another of frequently asked questions, if we've taken public health or health education courses at another university, can I transfer the units to the CSUN MPH degree program once I've been admitted? So if somebody took a graduate level course and it can actually be verified to be equivalent to one of our MPH courses, then we will consider that as a contribution towards the degree. Up to 9 units can be transferred as part of the graduate coursework, but remember it needs to be approved as something that is equivalent to our current coursework at a graduate level. And then I think the question was already asked earlier about having some sort of prerequisite course requirements. Again, to be considered for admission to the program, applicants do have to have a bachelor's degree from an accredited university. And while somebody who may have majored in public health or a health-related field can help them, be successful in the program, other majors are obviously considered for admission if an individual has a passion and a motivation, desire, and experience in public health or the health-related field. Okay, another question. My CSU GPA as of right now is over 3.4, but my community college upon transferring was a 2.4 combined. It is below 3.0. Therefore, I would have to take the GRE. When a student sends the transcripts to CSUN admissions and records, they actually will calculate the GPA, based on everything combined. This is why all of the transcripts need to be sent to admissions and records. When they get all the transcripts, they calculate the GPA, and then that then determines whether or not they would need to take the GRE. I hope this answers the question. I think it's possible for a student to contact admissions and records directly and inquire if they're concerned, if the student's concerned, the applicant's concerned about wanting to take the GRE sooner rather than later. Here's another question. Do you have to decide beforehand if you are full-time or part-time?
No, you do not have to decide beforehand. The only thing you need to decide beforehand is what concentration you want to do, apply epidemiology or community health education. Our students do jump back and forth between being full-time and part-time. Some students start off being a full-time student and then realize that they recently got a job or they want to kind of take a step back. So it's actually done semester by semester. You can be registered in as many units as you want. And we really try to work with you to craft a course plan that works best for your schedule.
Additional questions. Is improvement taken into consideration, like you did not do well in community college and then after you received your bachelor's you brought up your overall? Okay. This is part of the 3.0 versus 3.2 GPA. So if the overall GPA is below a 3.0, or if somebody's last 60 units are below a 3.2, it is often the case that some students, when they get later on into their degree, they do much better, and so their last 60 units are higher in the GPA, and therefore that can help to prevent the requirement to take the GRE. This is something that when the unofficial transcripts are uploaded and when the official transcripts are sent to admissions and records, that can calculate the GPA to determine if a GRE is needed.
Yeah, we do like to see growth. We like to see improvement, meaning that some people had a hard time or a rough start when they first got into their first or second year at college or community college. So we'd like to see some type of growth or improvement. It usually doesn't happen the opposite way, in which they did better in their first year than they did in their last year. But again, an improvement is what we like to see.
So another question is, what are the average GRE scores of those accepted? Okay, when we ask students to take the GRE, what the university is looking for, as I mentioned earlier, is that the student is capable, the prospective student is capable of succeeding in the program. What the university requires is if the GRE is taken, that the individual pass at least one section of the GRE with a score of 50% or higher. Therefore, we don't have a set score on the GRE. Naturally, if a student does exceptionally well or a prospective student does exceptionally well in the GRE, this definitely benefits their application. But the university has a requirement that a prospective student pass at least one section with a score of 50% or higher.
Another question was, you transferred to CSUN and therefore CSUN has all of your previous degrees and transcripts. do I need to still resubmit them? I believe once you start developing an account on CSU Mentor and our account, Applied Web, it's going to ask you to enter your undergraduate institutions, and once you enter CSUN, I believe that we could actually access your information from our end. If you do have unofficial transcripts, you can upload those just to make for us to see it, but again, we still need official transcripts for all the if you are not part of CSUN.
Another question, given that students can switch between full-time and part-time, is there a time frame in which students are required to complete the MPH at CSUN?
Okay, there is a time frame. You have a total of 7 years to complete the MPH. I've never seen a student take 7 years. I think on average, even if you're working full-time, part-time, and you're taking 3 units or 16 units, which is actually the maximum a graduate student can take, you usually end up averaging about 2.5 to 3.5 years. 4 is probably the longest I have seen.
Also, there are situations where students will take a leave of absence for whatever reason, family purposes, work, any number of things can arise. This gets factored in, but that doesn't mean that a student can be in our program for 2 years, leave for 3 years, and then come back and finish the program in the next 2 years. So if a student takes a leave of absence, the university documents that, and there's only so much time that the student can be away from the program before they have to return, that they ultimately are kicked out of the program, really. And this is a university policy. So the 7 years is not really an MPH program policy, it's a university policy. That the graduate degrees must be conferred within 7 years. Another question, within my 60 units, I took some business courses. Do you really look into the grade of those courses? I would say any course that was taken that contributes to a student's GPA, the university considers as part of the GPA, which is why the last 60 units generally are part of whatever is the major of that individual. But sometimes students do take other courses that are unrelated, and if that happens in the last 60 units, then that gets factored into the last 60 units. I would assume.
I guess I could answer from when I look at applications, this is just personal to me and I can't speak for the other faculty member. If you took certain courses, and for example, business courses, and you didn't do well in those, I would kind of want to see as to why the student took the course, or I also question as to why they didn't do well, why they failed, and did they do anything else to improve it. Maybe if they retook it and their grade improved, I would kind of look at a pattern, but again, that does vary from faculty to faculty. Another question that was posted was, I obtained a medical degree from a university in Venezuela. Can you be considered for admissions? Yes, we do have international students applying to our program. What you will do is you will again apply through CSU Mentor. You will be, you'll fill out information about your undergraduate program or your university. This one is in Venezuela, and then you will send your official transcript. It will go automatically to the Office of Admissions and Records, and they in fact actually look through it for us. So it's something that they look through. We actually don't have expertise to look through international transcripts. But if everything goes well, then yes, if you be considered for admissions. I actually do not know how to check for accredited college, especially internationally. I don't know, Dr. Rand, do you know?
No, this is something that Admissions and Records certainly has expertise on, and also unless the applicant has a degree from an accredited U.S. institution, then the TOEFL needs to be submitted as well. Another question, are courses for the part-time program only taught at night? When we say the part-time program, are we referring to, I'm not sure. Our face-to-face traditional program, which is not the same online program, but our program that we're talking about tonight for application, most of the courses are offered from 4 to 7 p.m. or from 7 to 10 p.m. So most of it accommodates working schedules, family schedules. We try our best. There are some courses offered on Fridays as well as on Saturdays, but those aren't necessarily required. They're usually electives or other sections that students can choose from.
And so if you were asking about part-time, I know some graduate programs have specific part-time tracks and full-time tracks, so that the full-timers will take these classes and the part-timers will take these classes. Ours doesn't work like that. We just classify a student as part-time if they're registered in X number of units, and those full-time. Actually, full-time is 8 or more units. So again, there's no group that's part-time or full-time. They just take whatever unit, and it does vary between students, and every semester it changes. Evan asked, will there be opportunities to work on studies or research that our professors are working in? Yes, we don't have a set count or a set slot for working with our faculty members. It also varies with what they're doing as well as their funding and their availability. But we do definitely have opportunities like that for students.
Another question, the online program offers thesis, comp exam, or project. I actually am not sure. This is a perfect question to direct to the CSUN online MPH program. My feeling would be that it may just be a comprehensive exam, but I'm not necessarily 100% sure. So again, please communicate directly and ask the CSUN online MPH program about that. So here's contact information. Dr. Kwan, you have her email address here. Generally, Dr. Kwan and I separate letters of the alphabet, but for whatever reason, if you want to email either of us, I'm sure we are more than happy to help in any way that we can. Again, please make sure you go to our website, look at the admission process tab, and see all the information we have for you there, as well as our frequently asked questions. Don't hesitate to let us know if you have any concerns. There's a question, there was a distinction between thesis and graduate project. What would each of these entail?
I do not believe there currently is a distinction between your thesis and your graduate project. I believe there might be once we settled some of our systems for the applied FE track. Currently, your thesis, you choose between the thesis or the comprehensive exam. Most of our students do choose the comprehensive exam. It is a class you register in at the end of your time here, and then it's a pass-fail. You get tested on everything you've taken in our program, hence it's a comprehensive exam. A thesis, usually the students who pick a thesis are those who are more research-oriented or would like to pursue a doctoral degree, because this does introduce them to the doctoral research process.
I think the project and the thesis are more or less one and the same, and we say that only because there are many, many things that a student can do that could be identified as a culminating type of completion for the program, and it may not necessarily be a traditional thesis, but it could be something else that could fall under the category of a final project / thesis. So we don't want to be exclusive and say just a thesis, so we're trying to, say a project as well.
The next question we have from Tiffany, and Tiffany asks, is there an internship each semester or year? We do have an internship class that students have to register in. Once you hit 21 units, you can begin to do your internship hours. The class itself is offered in fall and spring. There is no summer internship class, so what you'll do is register for the class, you'll speak with the internship coordinator, and then you'll find a site and continue to work that way. You cannot start your internship in the summer, however. Again, you only can start it once you register in the class because of university liability issues.
Our internship is intended to provide a very, very intense, comprehensive experience for our students, so when they're done, they really feel that they're capable of going into the working world in the community or in any other agency, organization that they find. It's important that students understand that the coursework they complete is what builds the foundation for the internship. So students usually start at their second year, and it can take almost an entire year to complete because there are many, many hours that need to be completed, but it's worth the investment in time because once the student's done, they truly do have a very rich experience in their internship.
Okay, I have another question that asks, would the MPH work count if you want to pursue a PhD? I guess there's two ways of looking at it. Would the units count towards a PhD degree? I don't think it will. Most universities do not accept transfer units like that. Again, this might vary depending on what program you get into, but the work that you have done in the MPH program, your experience will definitely count when you apply for a PhD, especially one in a similar or related field. And again, that does vary from degree to degree. If you were going to get a PhD in mathematics, then I don't know how much versus a PhD or a DRPH, or a doctorate of public health.
I do know that in PhD programs, having a master's is pretty much essential, especially if you want a PhD in public health. So an MPH from our program, as it's accredited, would certainly satisfy having that master degree if somebody were applying to a PhD. But then again, it just depends on the program and it depends on the degree, whether the MPH is what the program is looking for. I would imagine in public health, having an MPH is certainly a very, very positive step towards getting a PhD in public health. Another question from Tiffany, what types of research or focuses are the MPH faculty interested in?
Well, it varies. You're welcome to look at our website. I'll talk about myself in a little bit, but our website, you click on all of our faculty, it'll list some of your interests. So we have, for example, Dr. Spears. She does a lot of work in substance abuse prevention. We have one of our newer faculty, Dr. Bobby Emitu. She is an expert on HIV and STI prevention, as well. I believe she does some work in the LGBTQ community. Myself, I do a lot of work in cancer health disparities, so I look at the differences in healthcare access as well as health outcomes around cancer, of course, around minority populations. And I think Dr. Rainish does another type of research, right?
Yes, my focus is on adolescent stress and biomarkers of health. I also have a grant here at campus that is a 3-year grant providing rapid HIV testing and alcohol counseling to students. Some of our other faculty, Dr. Frott does lactation education. She's a certified lactation consultant, so she has a passion in the lactation arena. I know that we have other faculty who are interested in global health and health policy, women's health, health literacy, and then we also have those faculty who focus on epidemiology, so chronic and infectious epidemiology. That's more specific to Dr. Benjamin and Dr. O'Keefe and Dr. Chu. So I encourage you, if you do have a specific interest, you can always reach out to our faculty directly and email them by finding their contact information on the website. And just ask them and say, I'm a prospective student, I'd like to learn more about what kind of research you do or your focus of interest, to learn more and see if there's any connection there. We definitely might encourage that.
So, Carrie, you asked if you could find this information online. I'm assuming it's about faculty research, and yes, it is online. If you go into our website and click on public health, and I think underneath that there's a section for faculty. It has all our lovely pictures as well as our interests and experience, as well as some of the classes we teach. So I do highly recommend you get to that website.
So the best time to reach both of us, I would say, Patty, Dr. Kwan, you're good from like midnight to 3 a.m.?
Yes, absolutely. Email is always the easiest for me, at least, because I could respond to email at most times of the day. Office hours, my office hours are limited. I'm here usually 2 to 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and that's usually when I could be reached by phone. However, it doesn't mean that if you need to talk, we can set up a time to talk at a different time, maybe Thursday or Friday or Skype. Just please know that right now we're in the midst of advising our students for spring 2016. So a lot of my time is dedicated to that. So I might not have as much availability as you would like, but we definitely can work out something.
For me, this is Dr. Rainish. I agree with Dr. Kwan. Email is really the easiest because we can sit at home and we can, at odd hours, respond to email. If talking over the phone is something that is important or easier for you to express your concerns and questions, then for me in particular, I do a lot of my advising and talking over the phone later in the evenings because a lot of our classes are offered here on campus later at night. So you might get a call from me at 7 o'clock in the evening, and so that's something that if that's a difficult time, then we can try and arrange a different time to talk, but I would recommend setting it up via email first, and then we can talk over the phone.
Is there any other questions for us? You know what, I think we're going to turn off our mic, so in case you have questions and you want to ask something, you can. I'll do that for a few seconds, so I'm doing it right now.
Okay, well, we appreciate everybody's patience, and you all had very wonderful questions. We hope that this was informative. It sounds to me that it was. And we encourage you to apply. Let us know if you have any concerns and questions. We look forward to hopefully seeing your application and maybe seeing you in the fall.
Yeah, thank you. So again, if you have questions, let us know. Keep the questions coming. You could always call if you can't reach us. You could always call the main office, or we're staffed by amazing staff who actually know the program well enough to answer some questions, or at least they could direct your questions to the right people. So, for example, we might not know much about international students, but if you call our main office, they might be able to direct you to the right individuals in that office, the Office of International Admissions. So please make sure you contact them if you need to.
And we will hopefully be posting this as a recorded lecture onto the main website for future referral. I know our technological prowess was a little bit limited early on, so let's hope we can make it work later. But we appreciate everybody's participation and attendance. Thank you again.